Welcome, my name is Jacob Corbett, under 13s captain. I'm interviewing Ian Tazzle, first team coach. First of all, how does it feel to be in the Challenge Cup for the second year in a row?
Obviously delighted, it came a little bit out of the blue. We weren't really expecting to be in it this year, but you would take it, a great opportunity for the club. Such a prestigious competition, to play in it back-to-back years is fantastic for us. It gives us some early season focus, although it has come really early this year in terms of preparation. Last year we had a little bit longer, probably in February we played. This year it's early January, which is, I think it's going to be difficult for everybody, at all community clubs, training over Christmas and New Year and all that sort of stuff, getting players together. But it's given us that purpose, that early season, and it's an opportunity to start the season as we'd want to. Last year we played in it and lost in the first round. This year we want to go one better and get into the second round. So yeah, it's gives us a good early season focus. Great for the club as well. It's fantastic.
How do you prepare for a big game after being in charge of so many Challenge Cup games?
Yeah, so obviously second Challenge Cup game, but in terms of big games, I think we've been involved in quite a few. Been lucky enough to coach the club for quite a while now, about eight seasons for the first team. We've had quite a lot of big games in that time: cup finals, semi-finals, Yorkshire Cup, Challenge Cup. We've been involved in them all. I think the big thing for me is probably not to normalise them. I think that's the big thing. I think it's pretty easy at pro level to normalise them sort of big games, but when you're an amateur side, I think you've got to not take them for granted. You've got to be excited about them. You've got to be up for them all the time. You've got to prepare for them as what they are: big games, big one-off games that might go away. Like I say, in that time we've played a lot of big matches. But that's not to say that that's going to continue. Before you know it, you could be in, Division 3, Division 4, mid-table, year after year, just plodding along, if you like. But we're getting the opportunity to play big games, have excitement around the club, 2, 3, 4 times a season over the last 6, 7, 8 years. Not many years in that where we haven't been involved in big games. And like I say, don't normalise them for me, because they're not normal matches. I think some people will go out there and say, oh, it's just another game in rugby, play how you would. But I think if you watch any big game on the telly, NRL, Grand Finals, State of Origin, Super League Finals, and the thing you'll notice is they're not the same as any other normal game. The intensity's a lot higher, and obviously this is a lot different level to that, but I think it's exactly the same here. Intensity is higher, the rewards are greater, so don't normalise them games. Enjoy them when you're there. Know when they're going to disappear, when you're not going to be involved in them again. So just make the most of them, and really try and enjoy the occasions for what they are.
Which players do you think could be our game changers to get us into the next round?
Yeah, again, early in the season, I think it's, we could name some individuals in there, but I think, in terms of, in the poor weather, when you haven't played since September, it's going to be really important that the whole team, puts in a shift. When we make errors, when we're in them bad spots, we're in the dark places, we've got to stick in and dig together. I think that the middle of the field is always real key to any game. Watching some bits of Ashton on YouTube and whatnot, they look like a team that can play a bit of rugby and got some skillful players. So I think that certainly our middle of the field is going to be really important in terms of controlling the speed of the game. Individuals, I wouldn't probably like to pick out too many, name anyone, put any extra pressure on them, but certainly the middle of the pitch, I think we've got to be really good, and in our ball playing positions, just controlling the game.
How do you think the newer and younger players will fare in Challenge Cup games?
Yeah, so again, it's a big game for everyone. I've been involved in the sport for a long time. It's a big game for me. You shouldn't ever get used to just being involved in games like this. For them younger players, I think a lot of them were involved in the squad last year. There aren't any really new players in terms of youngsters. We've got a few new faces involved, but I think everyone should just embrace it. I think they'll be fine. I think we've got plenty of experience around them. I think we just, again, they go out there and do the job, be excited, like I think we all are, and play without fear. I think that would probably the message I would give to whether you 16 or 36, play without fear, enjoy the moment, and enjoy the challenge of what Ashton are going to bring and what the Challenge Cup brings. But I'm sure everyone's going to go out there and put the best foot forward and perform well.
What advice would you give to our current juniors who want to progress into our first team?
I think for me, it's probably a long list. You know, you could go real deep into it in terms of, you know, working. I think the fundamentals are there to work hard, listen to your coaches. You know, have that belief that if you want to make it as a pro as well, you want to push yourself to go to that level. I think the big thing for me is listen to the right people, listen to the right opinions, try and block out some of the noise from people that aren't too important. Okay, but just back yourself and enjoy the sport. I think what we probably, if you look at the numbers of players that actually make it pro against the number of players that play the game, it's a very, very small percentage. So don't put that pressure on yourself. Don't, enjoy the game for as long as you can. Really put everything into it, listen to the right people, and whether that's playing pro or playing down here for us, push yourself to be the best you can. That's probably the ethos I've always given to our team, individually, collectively. Never really just always, strive to be the best you can as an individual and as a collective.
Do you think it is important for the clubs to have so many homegrown players in our first team?
Absolutely. I think it's probably the biggest thing. I think it's certainly something I've always tried to push. Obviously you've got to have the ability, you've got to play to the standard, all that sort of stuff. But I think the majority of the team we've got now is from our, club. I think every amateur side probably should strive for the same thing. The biggest difference for us, I guess, from most clubs around the country, certainly in the Yorkshire competition, and I assume the Lancashire competition is, we're pretty niche. We're in a small area with not a lot of players to go at. So it's really important for us that we develop them young players and we keep them in-house and we keep them at our club. We're not in Castleford, Hull, Wakefield, where we can, players move around from club to club to club. We're very much what we grow here is our own. So massively important for me, to keep them players involved and keep them in-house. And running of a second team will be, massive for that.
What are your thoughts on the new rule changes regarding tackle height?
Yeah, right, so again, this is one that you can probably talk about for a long time. I think the thing for me is there's not much clarity in it, and there's not much time. I think that we haven't been given enough information. I think how the game's going to look, how's the game going to look? I think everybody, if we went out onto the field now and we played or we watched the game on telly, you kind of get what the game's going to look like. You get how the tackles are going to, and the game's going to play out, and all them things that are going to happen. What impact is this going to have? It's them unintentional circumstances that you create by making such a massive change. We make a massive change of that. What's actually going to be the impact on the next thing on the part of the game, and how's that going to impact the speed of game? How's that going to? We're protecting the attacker, I guess, a lot more. But what impact are we going to have on the defenders? You're going to bring a lot of hip contacts into play on head. You're going to bring a lot of head-on-head in defenders into play. All these things, are going to come into play by changing this rule. And I'm not one to say, oh, it's just the worst thing that we could do, and it's going to ruin it, and all this sort of stuff. I just think it's going to just change the game completely. And what are the unintended impacts that we're going to actually have? So, for example, we brought in the 6 again rule to stop the slowing down of the play of the ball and all that. And that was when we went out and we controlled the play of the ball, controlled ruck speed with dominance in the tackle. Here we're taking away the ability to dominate upper body and control the speed of the play of the ball, but we're keeping the 6 again rule. So how is that realistic? Are we going to start to give some benefits to a good quality low tackle? We always used to, rule we used to have in Rugby League was a dominant tackle. You would hear it on Super League a lot, over the referees calling dominant. That is based on physical, high contact, upper body, wrapping the ball up and being dominant. We're now saying that that's completely gone out of the game. We can't do that anymore because more or less all them contacts will be above the armpit height. And now where is the dominant tackle call? Where can we gain that? Should that come as a low tackle now, where you do a good one-on-one, where you tackle low, and you should now be afforded more time on the floor? I think go on a little bit, but I think it's really important that the pro game's been given a 12-month window to prepare for this. We've been given probably a 6 to 8 week window for this because we're not allowed to do, according to the rules, any contact in January. Our season starts in March, and we're asking people who've done this for You know, some of them are players in the 30s who've been doing this for 20 odd years, tackle where they want, or certainly below neck, obviously. And we're now saying in a matter of weeks, we're going to have to completely change the way we're expected to tackle and the way we're expected to defend, with not much information, with no coaching, with no clarity on how the game's going to be looked, how it's going to be officiated. You know, and for me, it almost feels like we'll give the pro game 12 months because they'll be able to coach it better and be able to sort out them situations. And what we'll do is we'll use the amateur game and the community game as a bit of a guinea pig to have a look at it, you know, and that's, for me, that's the way it comes across. You know, they're going to look at us, see what we do, see the errors and see the things that come out of it, and then we'll probably say, well, what do we actually need to tweak for the pro game? You know, and for me, the biggest mistake is that we are not getting enough time to change these, implementing these new tackle techniques. I've coached the game for a long time. You know, I'm lucky enough to have been involved in the sport for a long time, and we used to do 1 up, 1 down, tackle low, tackle high. You know, probably when the game first started, it'd gone a long way from that now. But now we're just expecting to go back to and we're expecting coaches who've probably been brought up to coach up, straight up tackling, upper body, dominate the ball. You know, and now we're saying, right, go and coach something different with no information. You know, and that for me is dangerous. I think, in my opinion, I think there should have been a 12-month window for everybody in the game where we should have been putting on coaching clinics and coaching information and getting out to community clubs and community junior sides and youth setups and actually coaching coaches on how they want this to look, giving referees time and coaching them on how they want it to look. And I think it's been a lot safer environment for everybody involved. Sorry to go on a little bit.
It's fine. What are your thoughts and predictions for the first team in 2024? Yeah,
again, it's probably difficult to predict. We're certainly striving to be highly competitive. Again, I've been involved for quite some time, since 2013-14 season. You know, apart from a couple of seasons in there where it wasn't, and you know, the club's always been involved in, you know, a higher end of the competition, barring the first season I was here. And I think that's what we'll strive to do again. You know, we won't get ahead of ourselves. We won't look to be, you know, we won't make bold predictions. We've lost a few players, so we've gained a few players. You know, some will have to step up into more senior roles and, you know, more things put on them as individuals. But, you know, we'll get this game out of the way and hopefully get through it. And, you know, and we'll look to have high standards. I think that's the biggest point for me and what we've just trained out there. I think the biggest thing for us is to maintain high standards, regardless of who you've got, who you haven't got, what the team is, what the team isn't. You know, we'll strive to be the best we can be in this season as players and, you know, as coaches and as a group. So, you know, no bold predictions. You know, I really hope this isn't the last big game we have this season. You know, but again, you don't know when they're going to go away. And if you don't work hard, they'll go away real quick.
Thank you, Ian, and good luck in Challenge Cup next week.
Thank you. Cheers. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, no.